We got a question here from Rand. I'm going to start dumping wood chips in my yard. I just wanted to know if there's anything I should prep for. I heard you say just go over the grass, but I saw you sifting some wood chips, so I don't know what you're doing there. But I watched some of the videos and I love them and they're great. So, what is the difference between just using raw wood chips or using the mesh screen sifter?
The screen wood chips is just a much finer material, and it's easier to plant small seeds in that. Where the coarser stuff is hard to plant, little tiny seeds.
So you're sifting out stuff from your compost from your chicken run and putting that into the garden instead
Right.
of just putting the
Straight wood
coarse wood chips. Is there any difference between doing that for starting your garden or having one already established?
No,
People want to know how you're doing.
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Let's say I take a twig or a branch or something off of maybe an apple tree and I put it into a pot. Will that produce another tree, or do I have to go put it on that twig, graft it into a rootstock?
I don't know. I've never tried to start them from a stem, so I don't know.
But you have moved around figs, right?
Yeah, now figs start well from stems. No problem at all. I put a stick in the ground and they grow great.
What about willows will do that?
Willows will do that.
Anything
Willows
else?
need water though. You got to keep water around willows.
I have a question about how to fight fire blight and peach leaf curl most natural way possible.
My experience with all diseases is health. If you maintain a healthy environment, disease doesn't happen. You see, our allopathic mentality is treating symptoms, antibiotics, whatever kind of thing. But my experience has been if you maintain health, disease doesn't come in. So opt to increase, good health in the soil and get the tree healthy. And I've experienced here in my own place. When I first came, all my trees had all the diseases. I had leaf curl, I had fungus, I had spot, scab, all of it. I have none now because the trees are all well.
I'm new to this whole process. Where do I start? Let's say I just have grass like right there in your front lawn. What do I got to do? Cut it down?
Well, cut it down. Ideally, you put something over it like cardboard or paper to suffocate it and kill it quick. Put wood chips over it, and right now it's getting fall, so we're great. So get a good cover on it now. Next spring, that grass should be dead, and you can start planting.
How do you keep weeds like Bermuda grass out of your gardens?
You are diligent, and you get all the root out, and you keep it out. Anything shows up, you get after it.
Let's go back to starting off. I want to cut the grass as low as I possibly can, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I'm going to lay down some cardboard or newspaper or painter paper
Mm-hmm.
and just wet it down as much as I can so I can suffocate all the grass, get all the air and sunlight blocked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, if I wanted to, I could put some compost or fish emulsion or anything like that down before I put the wood chips.
I would do the fish emulsion after the wood chips, not before.
Put it on top of the wood chips.
Yeah, because see, gravity works. Everything goes down, and so you want to make sure that your plant's in the ground before you start adding anything, because gravity's going to take it on right on past it.
Is there anything that I do after that?
Just keep a good cover on.
So, like, I want to do this in the fall or in the spring, right before I
Ideally,
plant?
if you look at nature, when does nature put the cover down? It doesn't every fall. And here's the wisdom. See, during the wintertime, when it's raining and snowing, all that water is going through that composting material, creating compost tea, building the soil for next spring's growth. So timing is really significant. So the covering should happen in fall, ideally.
What about insect infestations? I know you don't have it here, but what if I do? How do I fight that?
Garlic is for if you're going to spray. If you spray garlic on your foliage, no insect will come there. They'll leave. And garlic is non-toxic. It won't hurt your plant.
earlier somebody was thanking you for the website, and I was trying to figure out which one. They're saying the Back to Eden website. How much affiliation do you have with the documentary, with the Back to Eden film website? How much input do you have for that?
Absolutely none.
You don't do anything?
No. The two women who did the film do all of that. That's all their stuff.
So tell me about that story while we're waiting here. How did they find out about you? How did they contact you?
Well, there's a guy named Michael Barrett who came here, and I was doing a Bible study with him, and I was just telling him what I was doing in my yard. So he says, I want to come over in the yard and just check out what you're talking about. So he did, and so he went home to his family, who are all farmers, and he told them what I was doing. He says, Michael, you got to document this. You got to get this out there. So he found these two women who just got out of school who were into making films, and he hired them and they made the film, and it all happened.
How long have you been, we'll say, doing the Back to Eden garden? It says running a forest garden for.
Well, I've been in this place for 33 years, and I started right away, putting wood chips in the orchard because I didn't have water. So I've been doing it on this place for 33 years.
Now, you didn't have water, you said. Why is that?
My well produced half a gallon a minute. If you do the math, that's not going to run a house.
No. So you dug a second well?
I dug a second well quite a few years later, and I have 20 gallons a minute. But what's interesting now, even with that water, I don't water my orchard. I don't need to.
I know you don't really do nut trees, but this person says that they're watching several pecan trees now for about 3 years, or they're about 3 years old, and it looks like the squirrels planted them. They've never had water and are growing like crazy, but no pecans yet. How long should it take?
I'm not sure on nut trees how long. Basically, you have to have a bloom before anything develops into fruit or nuts, and so you want to watch in the spring. Look for a bloom, and I don't know any of the time frames, so just I guess all you do is just wait.
Could it be something like? Well, he said that there's a few trees. So it shouldn't be a pollination issue,
no,
right?
And even without a pollination issue, if a tree's normal, it's gonna put out blooms on its own. It may not have other ones around to cross pollinate, but it still will produce flowers of its own.
Is there a breed of chickens or hens that is quieter than others?
I don't know, but I get a hold of like McMurray Hatchery. They're the ones I get my chickens from. Ask producers of chickens. They're the ones to inquire from.
And what was the hatchery again?
McMurray Hatchery. I've had really good success with all the birds I've got from them.
Do you have any unique tips for creating compost?
No, just put it on the ground and let it happen. Compost happens all by itself.
You get a lot of your stuff though from the chicken run, where you throw all of your extra grass clippings,
yard
waste, and vegetables and stuff like that. You throw it in there, and then the chickens will
process it.
And so that's where you're getting your compost from.
Now, also, we'll get compost from places that have wood chips, and I get the screen wood chips, which is finer for my garden space. That works well too.
What contents for creating compost tea? Yeah, Paul doesn't really make compost tea. There's a video I did a while ago, a few years ago, of a guy named Matt in Northeast Oregon, and he had a huge compost tea setup. Maybe check that video. For you, compost tea is just
happens naturally. Yeah, just
waiting for it to rain.
Yep, or water.
Pawpaw Mountain started his Back to Eden garden back right after the documentary came out. He started doing it. Greg says, you told us before about hearing from God to solve your gardening challenges. Do you still hear as before? If not, what did you do to restore your hearing?
Hearing is an act of the will. The Bible says you have not because you don't ask. You have to ask. And so I make a point to converse with God a lot. When I'm in the garden, I always, ask, how would you approach this? What would you do here? And I listen. I pay attention. And I find that he's very helpful, but he waits on us to ask. He doesn't intrude, he doesn't barge in, he doesn't control. He's given us free moral agency, and he honors that, and he waits for us to ask.
Earlier, we were out in the garden and we were talking, and I had you kind of remind me, like, what was the book or the person that kind of put that aha moment in your head where this is how I can hear God's voice?
Mark Virkler, he wrote a book called Hearing the Voice of God, and it was really, really helpful for me. And one statement he made really opened my eyes to understand how to hear, or ears to hear. He says, God's voice comes as a spontaneous thought. That was so helpful for me, because I've been trying to think, like, how do I hear? Is a voice, is a sound, or is articulation? But it's a thought. A thought comes into your mind, and it's God speaking to you. And to validate whether it's God, you always ask for confirmation. And if God gives you confirmation, then you know you heard, because in Corinthians it says, in the mouth of two or three witnesses, truth is always confirmed. And so always look for confirmation when you think you're hearing. Then you can be moved with confident faith to believe, like, that's the way to go.
What's your opinion on raised beds with wood chips?
Raised beds is a challenge because you have to water more, because they're above grade, so they have a lot of air exposure around them, so they dry out really quickly. Wood chips are fine in raised beds as in anything. It's just, the raised bed is just going to require a whole lot more watering.
Thomas Lee, if you're talking about Facebook, I really don't ever use it. So any messages that were going to be coming through there, I probably haven't seen. If you want to get at us, send me an email, thatnub@gmail.com. There's contact info at the end of every one of my videos. Also a phone number. You can leave me a voicemail there or send a text there. But I really don't get on Facebook. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. Just to mention, I have lined the raised beds with plastic except for the bottom. Would that be any different? Thanks in advance. Is there any benefit or not to lining the raised beds, so maybe less air or sunlight or anything?
I'm not
like
sure,
that
because I've never done raised beds, so I haven't had any experience in in using them, so I'm not really sure.
We Can Paint It says, back in the 80s, I lived in Hollywood on Lockwood Avenue, and I think I remember seeing Paul there. Were you in Hollywood in the 80s?
I could have been. I live in Los Angeles, and Hollywood isn't that far away, and we used to go down there occasionally.
How often do you add wood chips?
I don't in the orchard. It's been a lot. What I found initially, they broke down really quickly because the soil was poor. Over time, because the soil has gotten so healthy, they're breaking down a lot slower. And so it's been in my orchard now quite a long time since I've added any, because the soil is so good. So again, it's all about how can I say it? The soil quality will require how often you have to add.
Usually, like in the orchard, you put down 16 inches, 2 feet.
If I had that much, usually it's hard to get that kind of volume, but.
And then how long, going from 2 feet down to what? At what level would you start adding more? Like 4 inches or
4 inches,
6?
yeah, 4 inches will probably be adding more. But man, right now, like I say, it's I haven't added for ages, and it's just maintaining really nicely.
Do you have anything new going on in your garden? I saw some trellises over there.
Yeah, we're just raising some pole beans and tomatoes. I actually have a line going across with strings coming down, and then the tomato grows up with strings, and that's really been helpful. And then the pole beans are doing good too.
And that trellis is what, just cattle panel or something?
Yeah, cattle panel. Mm-hmm.
Any tips for big apple trees with small apples? I think they want to make the apples bigger.
Well, you're not going to change the variety. So what I would do, if the tree's really nice, graft in good varieties that make big apples, and then transfer that over into better quality apples by grafting.
What is the hardest thing that you've found to grow in your orchard or garden? What's a thing that you just can't get to go?
Nothing. I haven't had anything that I can't get to go. I don't know. Everything I planted grows.
What kind of chickens do you have?
I don't know their variety. My wife got those. I'm not sure their name. Um, I'm trying to think of yeah, I don't know.
How many do you have?
Probably about 15, 17. Not a whole lot right now.
What's the most that you've had?
I've had up to 30. When Nick was here, he had 30 chickens too.
I did see some sheep out there.
Yeah, we have lambs. Mm-hmm.
Lambs. And I saw a couple of, looks like portable chicken runs. You're doing meat birds?
We used to, we're not using right
Okay.
now. They're not being used, but we used to have meat birds in there. Yeah.
Somebody's giving us the answer. Previously, you had pearl white leghorn and red star from McMurray Hatchery. I tried them and loved them.
Yeah, they have good chickens.
I see that you're using the scooter right now.
Mm-hmm.
You told me before, but the people are going to ask, what happened to the tank?
I gave it away because the tank is this. If this, the tracks are so big, it was hard to get around my garden and stuff. This is much easier to get into places, smaller places. So this is more convenient to use. So it's called convenience, So this is just easier to use.
What do you think about the carnivore diet? Just curious. And I think that's just meat, salt, and water, if I'm correct. So just a straight.
That's not
meat
enough.
diet.
You need vegetables. You need to have good roughage, good greens. So many vitamins and minerals are in vegetables that you'll never have in meat.
I put down about 6 to 10 inches on a half or a quarter acre about 10 years ago and had the best trees in garden. Unfortunately, I moved 2 years ago and now I'm old and starting again. We were talking about that earlier. If you had to, just as you are right now, move to a new property and just start over again, would you?
If I had to, I would. I mean, what else can you do? I mean, if you have to do something, you have to do it.
Would you go for as big? I mean, you're only half an
I'm using
acre
half an
total
acre.
for everything.
I'd probably start small and then just whatever as I could, I would increase.
If somebody's just starting out, how big should they start? Just kind of doing
Whatever's manageable for whatever you can handle. If it's looking like you can't keep up, you're doing too much. If you have plenty of time and you don't know what to do yourself, you're doing too little. So again, it's just common sense.
So even if you wanted to start off with like a 10 by 10
Yeah,
square.
and again, the beauty of that is as you progress, you learn as you go. So you keep making it more efficient as you keep expanding.
Oh, carnivore diet: beef, chicken, eggs, and fish.
Yeah, you need greens. You have to have greens in your diet.
I can't remember, but have you done a book on the journey to where you are now?
I didn't do a book, but someone else did. It's called "Growing Food God's Way" by David Devine, and it's a biography of my life, and it's been out for a while.
Wood chips are extremely hard to find in our area. I have a tree trimmer who stockpiles them, but 5 years ago they were $750 per truckload, 10-ton dump truck. Any suggestions?
Pray. It's amazing how many people have told me I can't get wood chips. I have this situation. I live in a rural place. No one comes here. And I says, pray. And it's phenomenal how many call back and says, I just got a load of wood chips. And they're going to bring more, Again, the Bible says you have not because you don't ask.
I think I made a video a few years ago about all the different sources that I used and all the different tricks and tips that I used to get wood chips, and then the neighbor had to call the county on me because I had so many of them. Let's see.
What was the offense of wood chips, though? What?
And we don't have an HOA in our area, and apparently he thought they were just going to be piles.
Well, so what? What's wrong with the pile?
Yeah, that's my property. I do what I want, but
There's all kinds of mounds in nature, you know.
yeah. I love deep mulch. Anything's possible with Jesus. Pray. Paul, do you currently have tours on the property?
No, not scheduled tours, but people come, you know, all the time to tour. Just if you want to come, make sure you call me, make sure I'm home, and you're welcome to come.
And do you have certain time frames
No,
or
not at all.
certain days that are kind of not really okay?
No.
Not even like Saturdays?
Saturday's a day of rest, and if I'm talking to you, I'm pretty much resting, so I'm okay with that.
Okay. Thank you very much for spreading the word regarding wood chips. I found out about this method via your video and now have a few thousand cubic yards on my property, planning on planting fruit trees, etc. Wow.
All right.
Paul's great to see and hear you.
Well, thank you.
And great to see you. Is there any chips, mulch, that is better than others?
Well, your deciduous trees like alder, maple and stuff, they break down quicker than deciduous trees. So if you want a quick breakdown, the deciduous trees are a better wood chip than the other ones. But my experience is I use all of them, and they all work really well, and I don't really see that much difference in the timing. So I think they're all good. Just use whatever you can get.
And so you're talking like the broadleaf kind of leaves. Those are the ones that'll break down quicker, more than like the pine needles.
The conifers, the ones with needles.
Okay. What's your opinion on using pigs to process crop waste? Local laws only allow them to have 3 chickens per property.
Pigs are really great for preparing soil. They get every rock out. I mean, every weed, every root. I mean, they totally excavate like nothing else. They're really good for clearing space.
What about something else? Rabbits, ducks.
What about them?
I don't know. Would you consider using like 10 rabbits in a hutch in the garage for processing any of the yard waste instead of having, you know, because you can only allowed to have 3 chickens, but a lot of places don't know about having quail in the garage or rabbits or something like that.
Yeah, you'd have to, you know, for rabbits, you just have to process the material, you know, fine enough for them to handle it. You know, the advantage of chickens is they just scratch everything up, you know, and they don't care about the size. They'll bring it down.
Okay. Has Paul heard of Jeff Lawton and his Greening the Desert project? There are some similarities between Back to Eden wisdom.
I don't
know.
know.
Jeff Lawton?
I don't.
Really? Huh.
Joel Salatin was really good at managing property with different animals to maintain.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
You know, bug damage and and weed control. He'd bring chickens. You know, he see when he had horses, he'd always have worms out there. You know, and it really bugged him. And so he bring in chickens afterwards, and the chickens go through and eat all the worms out of the manure. You know, so it really kept his pastures really clean.
It's hard to find a good place in Florida without HOAs. Yeah, move. Is Paul still able to garden any at all?
I still garden as much as I always have. Hasn't changed any.
Thank you for teaching me how to garden. I've gotten 28 truckloads in the past year for free.
All right.
That's amazing. What's your favorite veggie to grow and eat?
The last one I ate is my favorite. They're all good. They're really great, you know, and each one has this unique flavor, and they're just really satisfying and very delicious. Good.
But you like fresh in season, right?
Exactly.
So you have the asparagus first thing in the year, and then
Lettuce, spinach, cilantro, arugula. Then the root vegetables, carrots and beets, and then after that you have corn and the squashes, and they're all good.
are you still able to maintain your garden and property with mobility issues?
Yes, I am, and that's the beauty of it. Because if it was hard, I couldn't do it. So I'm so thankful that I learned early on about the covering, because it makes it. If I had a rototill, I couldn't do it anymore because I can't run a rototiller. So it's made it so much easier for me. My only tool is a rake, and I can handle the rake really well.
Have you ever thought of, or do you know anything about using soldier fly larvae, like from a compost pile, and they get in there and crawl up the little tubes and drop off as kind of like a protein source for the chickens?
No, I don't know anything about that.
Okay. Where is the best place to get your book?
I think Amazon, or I think Amazon.
I think he might have a website too, Growing Food
Yeah,
God's Way website, but I think that might just be links to Amazon or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe to where his distributor is, because I think the last version they did, last edition, was kind of a print on demand. I don't remember 100% about that. My 4 chickens have planted acorn squash, tomatoes, eggplants for me, better than the little garden I tried this year. That's awesome. Call your local tree surgeon. Whoops. They always are trying to get rid of them. Yeah, not always. There's some places where wood chips are getting kind of where you have to pay for them. I never had to. I had one company that thought that I wanted them to load up mulch from their office, where they kind of dump stuff, put it into a truck and bring it over, and they were going to charge me. And when I told them, no, just when you're in the area, drop it off here instead of taking it back to the thing, then they brought me as much as I wanted for free.
All right. It's called convenience.
Yeah.
Convenience works.
What are your favorite herbs to grow?
My wife is more into the herbs than I am, but I don't really have any specific favorites. I use a lot of them; they're really good, but I don't know if I have a favorite.
Soil improvement. Organic matter is added to the soil to improve its fertility and structure. This helps retain moisture and supports plant growth. Okay, that's Jeff Lutton. Jeff Lutton loves chickens for sure. What's your opinion on sprouts? They're supposed to have more nutrients than mature plants. Does Paul eat them?
Sprouts are great, especially if you live in a city and you don't have a lot of garden space, because you can do sprouts in your kitchen all day, all day long, forever. So sprouts are really a good food source.
I live in Wales, UK, and use back to Eden method as it makes more sense. But have you heard of Charles Dowding, and what do you think of his method?
I haven't heard of him.
I've never heard that name at all. What's Paul's thoughts on using shade cloth?
I don't.
You don't use it, or you don't have any thoughts on it?
I don't use it because it just seems like a clutter to me.
So some of us live where it gets 110 for all of summer.
Mm-hmm.
I think some shade would help a little bit, at least.
Then I plant trees and create shade that way instead of something permanent.
Does Paul Gautschi do plant breeding? I love how he said every plant makes seeds after their own kind.
No,
so you try to create your own?
No, I haven't done any breeding.
Charles Dowding uses compost as a layer instead of wood chips. Very similar. So why not just the compost down instead of adding the wood chips?
Well, how can I say it? Wood chips is a whole lot more available. I'm talking about volume. You got to make compost, and it takes time, and it's labor intensive. Where wood chips, they bring it by the truckload and dump it, and it's just there. So it's just more convenient.
Also, isn't there something about the wood chips will help block the sun and the wind from, drying out your
Right.
soil
Yeah.
if you
That
just
acts
had compost?
it works the same way as compost. It's just larger material.
Also, like the weed seeds,
There aren't any.
it just kind of blocks it because they land on there and can't
Well,
get to the soil.
depending on what you compost with, could have the plants gone to seed. Where in wood chips, it's just there's no seed.
Are you located in the mountains?
No, I'm at 530 feet above sea level. It's not mountains.
What do we do if we have no land to garden? Say apartment complex.
Find spaces that they're not using, like maybe with blacktop on it, or and then just any space that's not being used in the area. Ask if you can use it to do a garden. Other places now are a lot of churches are opening up their grounds for community gardens, and those are really awesome opportunities, which is really a good idea. The church shouldn't be wasting all that good property, so I'm glad that this is happening. And so check around in your community, your churches, and see if they're doing community gardens. If they're not, suggest they do, and you just manage it.
I know that there's a couple of people out there that do kind of market gardens, and they will find other people who have some property and maybe give them a payment or give them part of the
Sure.
the produce, but garden on their extra property.
Right.
Do you use anything on your grass?
No. My grass is really amazing how well it. And you think about it, during the wintertime, the grass dies back. And that's feeding the grass. So it's always being, supported by the grass growing on it. And my grass out here I think it looks pretty good. I don't do anything. I mean, I water it, but other than that, I don't do anything.
You don't leave your cut grass
I
on
take the
there
grass
to-
clippings off and feed it take the chicken pen. So I kind of like it clean. I don't like all that dead grass laying there. So it's more aesthetically pleasing to me to have the grass taken to the chicken pen. And I don't find it takes away anything from the grass. The grass is still green and doing very well.
Do you ever spread any kind of compost or filtered wood chips or anything like that into the grassy
No.
areas?
Uh-uh.
Do you do summer pruning?
No. I guess like if I have suckers developing on the top of the tree when they first start, and this is all summer long, I just rub them off with my hand. But I don't really consider that a pruning process. It's just eliminating future stuff I don't want. And again, it's just I do it with my hand when it's little babies.
Yeah, wood chips also stops weeds from germinating. It's a mulch and compost all in one, and takes a little time to get it up and running.
But once it's up and running, it never stops. That's the beauty. It's always feeding the soil.
Well, don't you also say that from the second you put it on, it starts
Breaking down. Yeah, starts to compost.
I've incorporated hugelkultur in with the mulching entire yard. It is working, no watering. Nice. You know what hugelkultur is?
Yeah.
I've heard summer pruning makes trees form flower buds the same year to fruit next year. Can I make seedling peaches fruit in 2 years?
I don't know about the summer pruning creating any more budding. I don't know about that.
Do you have peaches?
I had a peach in swim, but I cut it down because it had so many peaches on it, and they all rotted because they had no shelf life. They wouldn't keep. So I got rid of it because there was so much waste.
You have some really good plums right now, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, so good. I've noticed a crazy dynamic at my place. The plants I cast aside and pay the least attention to thrive the most. It's wild. A tomato sucker I cut off fell into the ground and took root, and it outgrew the ones I pampered. Nature's comical? Oh, yeah, nature's comical. Do you have anything like that? Something that maybe just kind of on its own does its thing, or something you don't really pay attention to or care about? Like one time I came here, you had a pack of carrot seeds, and you're like, watch this. And you just threw it on top of the wood chips and over by your cherry tree. And you're like, come back in a month. And I came back in a month, and carrots all over the place.
Green, yeah.
You didn't even have to try to plant. You just threw it right on top.
Well, look at nature. Who's planting seeds? Everything just falls to the ground, they grow.
Okay, I don't know what this is. Has Paul ever seen potato berries on his potatoes?
No. I don't know what that is.
Is that just kind of like where you have a potato and then there's just a little extra potato growing off the side of that?
I'm not sure because I don't have those, so I don't know.
Okay. You're not going to make me say those words. I'm having a neuromuscular issues, and only in my mid-30s. How did your walking issues begin or progress?
My walking issues happened because of my exposure to Agent Orange poisoning in Vietnam, and it's been very progressional, over 30 years. I first noticed about 30 years ago, and it's been progressional over that time, getting worse and worse and worse.
Potato berries are the botanical fruits of the potato plant. They look like tomatoes and contain true potato seeds. What? Instead of planting tubers, what do you think? I've never seen.
I have those.
You have those?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're little like almost like
a pod?
big grape, grape growing on the outside of the potato bush, above ground,
And they're saying that that's where the real potato seeds are kept?
I'm not sure. I don't. My sense of potato itself is a seed, and so I don't know what potato seeds are.
No, not either. I'm gonna find out though. No, it's something to look into. I have an apple tree that died back to the ground after a sudden early season sub-zero freeze. Next year, a shoot grew from the rootstock. I'm going to attempt grafting into it from my Sweet 16 tree. That's awesome.
It's a good idea, yeah, great.
Yeah. Never know what that rootstock is going to be, but if it will survive in your climate, grafting onto it's amazing. First time I saw Back to Eden film, I wept with joy and watched it so many times.
Well, thank you.
All right, guys, that's all we got for right now. I don't know, maybe next year we'll come back out and do this again, since I live over in the Tri-Cities and I don't really get to come out this way that often. Would it be possible to send Paul seeds? I'd love to trade seeds.
I'm not good at collecting seeds or shipping seeds and stuff, so I just have never done that. I have enough. It's enough for me to collect enough seeds for myself,
All right. Well, thanks all for watching, and we have some more videos coming up that we did in the garden the other day. That'll be, I don't know, whenever I get around to editing them. Also asked a bunch of the questions that I had in the comments, so maybe we'll do some videos of reading off some questions and then giving Paul's answer right after that. Anything you want to say before we go?
Well, thank you, and be blessed.
Okay. Thank you guys very much. That's all we got. Well, that's all I have for this video. Bang around that bell icon if you want to be notified when new videos come out. Call us on the hotline if you have comments or questions and want to be featured in an upcoming video. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. Check us out on the website, and we'll see you guys on the next one.